Great, we can get started. Good morning and good evening, everybody. I welcome you all to yet another Citrix Ready webinar today. There is a lot that we're going to learn today for simplifying our lives with IT. So most of us must have heard about the saying, the more you have, the less you see. So bringing that to IT context, most of the IT decisions today are, especially the decision makers, are actually overwhelmed with the popular operating system we heard about, but that's not what exactly our end users would need. So the IT decision makers buy expensive operating systems and trim it down and give it to the users. Practically, the users would need a lightweight operating system for accessing virtualized platforms like Citrix, for example, with a popular browser, multimedia capabilities, peripheral device support, and few other protocols and feature support. And while doing this, the business compromise on security, expose their machines to data breaches, vulnerabilities, and they buy expensive centralized management systems. And they don't consider longevity and support of that operating system after a few years. They have to just buy another version of that operating system and again spend money. Now, in today's webinar, we're going to learn how NComputing is going to address these issues with their operating system. What is it all about? How does it meet your expectation? All these questions will be asked and addressed within this webinar. I'm very happy to welcome NComputing team here today, especially Johan, who is our speaker for today's webinar along with me. Johan, welcome to the webinar, and could you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
I was on mute, like always.
No
Okay, so
problem.
what did you say, Macho?
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jochen Polster. I'm in charge of Endcomputing's sales and marketing here in Europe, and have been with the company for, well, over 10 years now. So I'm going to talk to you about our Leaf OS and some hardware associated to it, and why we think this is a good solution for endpoints, especially for Citrix.
Great. Thanks, Johan. And we have a packed agenda, like you can see on the screen already. We are going to talk about what is Citrix Ready program, what is the partnership between NComputing and Citrix, what is the Leaf operating system? Is it a perfect endpoint operating system that you are really waiting for? And what are the key value propositions of this operating system and the key features and use cases? And then they have their own hardware, which is EX500 think like. And then we're going to wind off the webinar with interesting questions that you may have. So my name is Manjunath Agali. I head the Citrix Study program. I work as senior manager for the program. So I and my team are responsible for helping our technology partners to become successful by helping our technology partners integrate, develop, and validate and promote their product to our customers. So, and again, I welcome Johan and NComputing team today for this webinar. So before we get started, a few housekeeping items. We are on the Zoom webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and we will share the webinar recording along with the slides in PDF format in a couple of days. And for all your questions that you may have, there is a question and answer panel, Q&A panel in the Zoom toolbar. Please use that tool to ask your questions. And we will definitely take your questions immediately or at the end of this webinar in the Q&A section. Great. So about Citrix Ready program, so the Citrix Ready program is a leading technology partner program. We started this program over 16 years ago. We are associated actively with 720 partners. In other words, 720 partners are actively associated with Citrix as a partner. And we have validated over 5,300 products and actively listing them on a marketplace. We have been verifying over 52 different product types from our partners. And how we do this is basically we work with our engineering team to understand how our product will be used on a different infrastructure with different hardware, different software, different operating system, so on and so forth. We build test kits for each of the device type that our partner may have. And we help our technology partner to get access to those test kits, run through the test cases that we have and submit the results, and with ensuring that they meet the desired expectations in the result that we anticipate from them. So this program is created for all the partners of all size, every region and type. And we help our partners to collaborate with our Citrix product management team, engineering team, sales folks to become successful and to make sure that they found a easy way to reach you as well through this program. So the program framework is especially designed for three stakeholders, right? Before we talk about the stakeholders, in the program, we help our technology partners to cater towards different industry verticals. It can be healthcare, contact center, education, and finance. And the three stakeholders that are actually important for this program are customers. You, as a customer, you get a chance to see the assured compatibility with Citrix product. Every single partner product that we validate has a compatible listing on that product page. So it may be validated only with XenApp versions or the latest CVAD versions, and you get to see that. And you get to make easy of purchasing. You have a chance to make your purchase decision very easy with the number of choices we have, with the number of verifications we do, with the number of support criteria that we set for each of those products. So if you know what you want, we can give you what you need. So that's the beauty of this program for our customers. And for partners, it's all about higher level engagement with Citrix via doing this kind of webinars or podcast or creating collaterals and helping them to generate leads and activities for reaching our customers and getting higher visibility for Citrix web properties and events for better outreach of our customers. And for Citrix, it's all about showcasing partner solutions which complement our products, which works together, our products complementing each other, and to create stronger compute value and to create better integration story, which works together, addressing multiple use cases and different scenarios. So in a nutshell, Citrix Ready and its marketplace is the only source for our customers to see all the partner verified products, in turn helping your purchasing decision, making a purchase decision very simple and easy. So if you know what you want, definitely you can find a solution that meets your expectation on a marketplace. So what is that we have done with NComputing? NComputing is a long-term Citrix Ready partner. They have their own operating system called Leaf OS, which we're going to learn in detail in a few minutes from now. Now, for all the operating system vendors and endpoint vendors, we run all these test cases on their device. I'm very happy to inform that NComputing operating system and their hardware has been awarded as a standard plus a premier device. So you take a use case here, most of the use cases have been either validated or in the process of being validated. So if you know what you want, and you can go to the Citrix Ready marketplace and search for Leaf OS on the marketplace, and you get to see what has been validated and what is not. So in a nutshell, just to put it in better perspective for all the audience today, so NComputing Leaf operating system and the hardware that we're going to learn in detail in a few minutes by Johan. So their devices support Citrix HDS technology. And not to forget to mention, they are a Citrix Ready partner since 2011. They are a partner with us for over 12 years now. So, and they support Microsoft Teams and Zoom with optimization. And they support 4K and multi-monitor support up to 3 monitors. And they do support composite USB redirection with Philips. And they do PCR, smart card, and FreeRTO for authentication and many other things. So without much delay, I'm going to call upon Johan to walk us through about the operating system and what is the need for all of us. So let's hear it from Johan. Johan, all yours.
Yep. You want to flip the files? I thought I should show my own, but I don't care. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead and make yourself as a presenter and start showing your screen.
Let me just, well, welcome to our little introduction of our Leaf OS operating system. So let me just spend 1 minute on the company itself, NComputing. We are a very well-established company in the Endpoint, used to be thin client market, have been here since 2003. And we are active pretty globally. Our headquarters is in the US with a very strong tie in Korea. We have our logistics coming out of Korea. Management is mostly in the US. Software development is primarily in Europe. So we are really present all over the place, either by our own offices or with partners. We always have been and still do in-house software and hardware development. So it's not just a software company. We have a pretty strong arm in terms of hardware development, obviously for our own software as well. Customers in over 100 countries with about 5 million installed devices around. And we come from, if you go back 10, 15 years, we come very strongly from the educational world. But for the last 10 years or so, we are very present in the SMB as well as enterprise market, then primarily, obviously, not with educational focused operating systems, but really with our focus on protocols, especially Citrix. So one of the questions that we are being asked all the time is, why do you really need a specialized operating systems for endpoints to infrastructure like Citrix? And you could just do it with Windows, right? And a lot of people actually do. They have a Windows endpoint, Windows PC, laptop, and they access Windows on the Citrix Cloud. Now, we go another way, and that is a Linux-based operating system, very lightweight for any hardware. But, and that's a very, very important point, it's very locked down and secure. Stable, reliable, sustainable I get to a little bit later, but stability and reliability, especially at an endpoint that doesn't do much more than being a window or a screen into a Windows session which runs under Citrix, is certainly a good idea. Easily managed, management is a very, very key point. Manju already mentioned it a little bit, not a very extensive way of managing Windows machines here. And last but not least, cost. This kind of exercise by running a very lean operating system on, in many cases, very small hardware, very simple hardware, reduces your cost quite a bit. And then obviously your management gets much simpler as well, and you reduce the number of people you need to manage this. We have a saying, take it as a little bit of a joke, but why using Windows to access Windows? Because that's essentially what you do if you run Windows on your PC in order to get into your Citrix sessions. So how do we do it? Well, we have a centralized management, which we call PMC, which runs optimized endpoints for Citrix. And you can either run the software only or the hardware. I get into that in a second. It delivers really a secure and key for us also is affordable and easy to deploy computing environment. So it's not just that it is secure, easy to use, but it's also a very affordable solution, which we think in today's world is more and more important. Remote use is obviously part of it. Today, you have to think of home workers and lots of branches, etc. And as I mentioned already, centralized managed by our PMC endpoint manager. There are different ways of using LeafOS. LeafOS is the endpoint operating system. That's how we call it. And it is managed, everything that is running on LeafOS is managed by a product which we call PMC, which is our management suite. PMC can either be hosted in your data center, meaning you're on-premise, really. If you are a reseller, quite often resellers actually offer it as a service, run it in their own data centers, or you can actually spin it up in Azure as a MSP or an end user and run it from there. LeafOS can then be on different kind of devices or different kind of rollouts. You can either purchase it on our own hardware. This is what you see here with the EX500, that's an example of our own hardware that runs LeafOS. So you get it all from one vendor. And I think we are pretty much the only sizable vendor that still does hardware and software coming from the same guy, which has some advantages because if there is a problem, you can blame us and we don't play the game, gameplay. And then we have third-party partners that have a certified LeafOS on their hardware and deliver it that way. But if you already have existing hardware, x86 hardware, you could also just purchase licenses from us for repurposing that hardware and either install it on that particular hardware or run it from a USB stick. I get into that in a second. So what are the key value propositions of LeafOS? Well, first of all, ease of use. That's really a very, very important part of the way we develop our software. We don't want to make it complicated for you to use it. For you as an end user, it's pretty simple anyway, but particularly for those of you that have to run the environment, the administrators, got to make sure it is straightforward to use the management software and to deploy and run your environment. You don't need a week of learning and special classes, etc. It's very, very straightforward. It's a modern interface, and the Endpoint Manager is a very, very rugged management system that can be used to run 50 or thousands of end user seats without any problem. Best-in-class performance is definitely a very, very important part of Citrix, running in Citrix environment. I get into that. Things like Teams and Zoom optimizations are key, and obviously browser contents redirection for Citrix. So all these performance-related features we have implemented. And then I mentioned it a little bit before already. Cost is always something we look at. It is, we believe, the least expensive enterprise class endpoint solution that is in the market right now. We do not do a subscription model. It's pay to own, a very inexpensive maintenance contract beyond 1 year, and we don't have multi-layered subscriptions. So when you purchase licenses or the hardware with the license from us or one of our partners, you get it all. So it's not like you have to purchase then, say, a VPN client or something like that later on, or a special protocol. It's all included. And obviously, as Manju already mentioned, we are Citrix ready as well as Endpoint Premium ready. Security, endpoint security. And this is really something which differentiates us from some others, but particularly from running Windows in order to access Windows. We really have a chain of trust. So you have to think security throughout when you build a product from the ground up, right? So secure boot are obviously something that is supported. Our Linux operating system that is underneath is a stripped down Linux. It is fully locked down. It is obviously customized by us. It simply cannot be attacked. No personal storage, data storage on the devices at all. So if a device is being stolen or compromised in some other way, there is nothing on it for a user to find, or for the thief to find, right? Encrypted communication, granular access, very important for the device itself. So you can define who can do what on the device, if anything, other than opening a session, but also on the management control. So you can give certain access controls to different people, depending on how much they're allowed to change, especially in larger organizations that are possibly even running in several countries. That's an important part. Things like the USB peripherals can be locked down through the management, so nobody can pull data off your devices or your data centers. I mentioned the centralized management, and then obviously we can revitalize old computers. I mentioned that already. Let's talk a little bit about longevity and sustainability here. It is something that is, well, I'm European, right? So we are always a little bit pushing this very hard. But it is important, I think, for us all to really reuse hardware as long as possible and not throw it away the moment one of few things happened. Either the software that you run on it. And we have seen that between Windows 10 and 11, for example, suddenly a lot of hardware became obsolete, right? We try to avoid this by offering you an alternative. Windows is one thing, but also some of the thin client / endpoint manufacturers neglect their software maintenance, don't support all the latest features. And if you want to replace, well, keep your hardware. That is certainly possible. And we very, very strongly are someone who pushes that, right? So conserve resources for the environment by simply installing a new operating system, in this case, LeafOS. And in very many cases, you will see that the platform, even though it might be a couple of years old, suddenly performs much, much faster by becoming a proper endpoint to Citrix. It has a very modern and clear user interface. LeafOS is a product which is in the market for a couple of years, but we have really made sure that we don't have a lot of this baggage that some others have in terms of user interface, supporting all kinds of old protocols, etc., which we don't need anymore. It's focused on Citrix, and it does that. What it does well. Modern, easy to use management software, and a very hassle-free subscription model. And one thing that is has a lot to do with the longevity, right? Linux LTS versions are very stable and long-lived operating systems. So there is not a new version or a little change all the time. You have a very, very stable environment. So a lot of longevity and sustainability built into the platform. We see a lot of customers right now repurposing outdated PCs, laptops, but a lot, and I think that's actually mostly the case, thin clients. So there are many, many thin clients out in the market. And as I mentioned before, they are a little bit older. They might not be fully supported by their own vendors' software because they kind of lost interest or track on the software part of that. And we definitely allow you with LeafOS to repurpose those thin clients and breathe new life into them. Several ways to do this. You can obviously run it from a USB stick, or you can just install it remotely. Get into that in a second. That's an important part where we have put a lot of effort into. And what you end up with is a fully locked down endpoint device for Citrix. Very high performance, things like VPN built in if you still need that as well. Compatible pretty much with a lot of other protocols as well, but Citrix is the key, and that's where we put the best performance in. Personal devices with bring your own device. Well, we always thought this is a big market. We haven't seen it too much yet happening, but we do support it. So if someone has a laptop that is being used personally as well, that is absolutely fine. And you can actually separate your work environment from your private environment entirely by booting from the USB stick, your LeafOS, then you are in your company environment. And if you want to use it personally, you just unplug the USB stick and run Windows on it. So that's another possibility. I would have thought it's being used more often. We don't see it too often, but it's a very, very nice solution, really, in my mind. Very secure solution for the administrators. Now, I mentioned already that rollout is an important part to make easy. I just have an example here of a deployment which happened a few months ago of LeafOS. It's in the city of Glasgow College. And what they had to do was they had about 1,300 older thin clients. And they wanted to upgrade the software on those thin clients. We also, they changed some infrastructure things, etc. Wanted to definitely update the management. And they did a POC for about 5 months with, I think, 10 or 15 users. And we're pretty happy with LeafOS, really liked it, liked the performance on Citrix. And then kind of said, okay, now we need to find a way to deploy this to 1,300 seats. We are not many people in the IT department. We really only have 2 or 3 people available to do this. and we have to do it over a weekend. And we looked at this and said, well, I think we find a way, and our software and our PMC allows this. And they actually managed to do this. So over one Easter holiday weekend, really only 2 days with really only 2 people, they deployed 1,300 seats remotely. And it worked without a hitch. We were surprised ourselves. We didn't get a single support call. And on the next, I don't know if it was a Monday, they were up and running. And since then, the whole system is running just flawless. So very, very easy to deploy and very, very fast. PMC management. Now, there are a couple of key functions that a management suite needs to perform. One is, said by the name already, to manage the devices. Now, we do this by having a web-based PMC, so meaning it's a virtual application which can be, as I mentioned already, deployed locally on-prem or in Azure. And it manages the devices as it should be with profiles, etc. But it does that behind firewalls, behind net routers. So if people have home office usage, that can be done quite nicely there as well. You can push the device profiles. You can schedule the firmware updates, everything you need in order to properly manage your devices. Monitoring them, very important. If you have a help desk, you can, in the management software, and again, as I mentioned already, users can have different permissions, users of this management software. So you can give them permission to shadow and a remote client, and then help them people either for diagnostics reasons or really to help them. Detailed event logging with filtering capabilities is also included. And then the deployment, it's quick. Zero-touch onboarding, that is something which you probably want if you have a centralized IT department that needs to send out new hardware or software to remote locations or home users. This can be done really zero touch. So you could purchase a device, say it's a hardware from us, send it out to your employee or employees in a remote office, give them a certain number to put in when the device powers up the first time. And that is it. Everything else happens automatically. And the IT person does not need to pre-configure or do anything like that. So it's a very, very streamlined process to do this. NComputing is a company that always does software and hardware. And here's one example of a thin client or endpoint, as they are being called today, that already has LeafOS installed on it. It's an x86 64-bit thin client with very, very good performance, native dual port displays. So you can have up to 4K monitors hooked up to it. It's a very cost-effective device that runs Citrix, obviously, Teams optimization, and has, and I think that's important as well to some people, local Chrome browsers and local Teams and Zoom clients as well. And last but not least, you can add custom modules. So if you have software yourself, which you like to add, that is in a hybrid way, so to speak, you can do that as well. We see this as something that people do on manufacturing floors quite often if they want to run certain control functions of machinery on top of being a Citrix endpoint. Ethernet as well as Wi-Fi as well is included, Bluetooth is included. So all the usual things, VPN I already mentioned. A small point, you might laugh about it, but a lot of hardware vendors charge you extra for the Visa mount. For us, it's included. So the device is small enough to be just mounted on the back of your monitor. So a very nice, ready to go little LeafOS based endpoint coming from NComputing as an example. So in conclusion, LeafOS is perfect choice when it comes to Citrix endpoints. Best-in-class performance and security throughout the system, from the Linux-based operating system through the PMC management software, which is very fast, simple to roll out, zero touch, very straightforward to learn, really. We do it quite often for companies that want to just run a POC, that we go ahead and do a little, typically it's half an hour, 45 minutes introduction to PMC in an online session, and they're up and running, frankly. Trusted vendor for a long time in the market, and a simple and budget-friendly license model, because we don't really believe very much in subscription. As a software stops working after, say, a year or so if you don't repay your license. For us, it is a way that you purchase the license, it will run indefinitely. You have 1 year of service and support included. If you want updates, upgrades for PMC, as well as the firmware afterwards, there is a small fee per seat per year, but it's really not a whole lot. And the license always includes the software itself, LeafOS, as well as a license to the management. So it's a really, really straightforward, simple, and cost-effective model. If you like to learn more about it, and I think that's more for the PDF, but you can scan here these links to LeafOS, little description, as well as to the client itself. And also we have some contact QR codes here for myself for Europe, and for Spencer Simon for North America. And if you like other areas, but I think it's mostly right now customers here right now from Europe and North America because of the timing. Obviously, we can get you that as well. And that's all I have. I saw there are a couple of questions already coming in. Right. So I think we open it up, Manju, right?
Great, Johan. Thank you so much. I have one pull question that I want to ask the audience. So let's do that first and then take the questions. So I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Then I need to stop here, I think. Hold on.
Actually, you know what?
Okay.
You can just stop sharing. You don't have to share
the
screen. So that's fine. So I'm going to bring up the poll questions for all the audience. So there's a poll question on your screen. The question is, would you like us to follow up with a detailed demo of our Citrix endpoints and PMC device manager solution? The options are, yes, please contact me right away. Perhaps let's touch base in a week. I request some time to consider. So please put in your oaths. This is very confidential. So, based on your answer, we will definitely do the right thing. So we'll either contact you immediately or in a week's time, or you can come back to us whenever you are ready to talk to us. So the poll question is still live. Please consider voting with your option, and we will do whatever you suggest or you want us to do.
For your questions, I also like to mention that we have 2 other NComputing employees on the line here that really can answer your questions probably better than I can. It's Richard Shaw, who is our CTO, and Jarek Chelak, who is the product manager for LeafOS.
Great. Thanks, Sean. I'm going to take off the poll question. So I'm going to share the results with the choices that our attendees made today. Thank you so much. So there are a few questions our audience asked us today. Some of them are interesting ones. So is LeafOS compatible with any deployment of Citrix VDI solutions from any cloud platform, including Azure, VDI, AWS, Citrix Cloud, Google and Nutanix, etc.? So I can take up this question. I think Joslo already gave an explanation on the chart, but I can still expand on that. So irrespective of where the VDI, the virtual apps and desktops are published, if you are accessing it from the LeafOS, it doesn't matter to the operating system. So it still will be able to launch the published apps and desktops, which are coming from Citrix Cloud or from Google or from Nutanix or Azure or AWS or any other platforms? So the simple answer to the question is yes, it does support. And there's another question. How often is Chromium updated with Leaf OS? I think this is about the browser, the Chromium browser that you talked about, Johan.
Yes, I think that would be a question for Richard.
Yeah. So we have a cadence of releasing the product every quarter. So during the release, we upgrade all the software components, including Citrix Workspace app, including Chromium browser, and all other components. So at the minimum, once per quarter, if there are some security issues, we can easily patch and provide an update. Separately, LeafOS, as Jochen mentioned, it has the ability for customer to package the application into modules and be able to install on LeafOS. So in this case, we have seen customers use Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge install on LeafOS, and they can anytime provide an updated package to update their browser choice. So hopefully that answered the question.
Perfect. Yeah, that did. There are a few interesting questions. One is about optimization. So the question is, can you provide more information about the optimization of Leaf OS for Citrix virtualization access?
All right, Richard, you want to take that?
Jörg, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Jarek, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, not sure I understand the question. So question is about what? Optimization of LeafOS for Citrix virtualization access.
Right.
Yeah, I can take that. So we actually have done a lot of work with Citrix optimization. So we take the Linux workspace app, fully integrated into our LeafOS. We have our own interpretation of UI, UX, so they can use our native building to seamlessly launch Citrix. Alternatively, customer can also use the self-service UI. A lot of work has been done on the Teams and Zone optimization to reduce the traffic and also improve the user experience. For legacy customer who wants a Skype for Business, we actually support that as well. Browser content redirection, that's another one to cut down the traffic and improve the user experience. Building H.264 video codec, adaptive transport, session reliability. We have done a lot of work related to the multi-display. So we have seen customer who want to have independent screen rotation, for example, L shape rotation for hospital settings. A lot of interesting use cases. We also have the concept of guest mode and auto launch support. So the use case can range from very simple public kiosk mode, fully locked down. There's only one single application the user can use, to fully fledged desktop computing used by everyday worker. So the ability to go up and down, going from a very simple use case to a fully multitasking use case, we support that. We also invest a lot of R&D effort to make sure a variety of peripheral devices are supported, whether it's webcam, printer, local network printer, mass storage, different audio types, smart card reader, security, keys, serial port, and other devices that are tough to do the native redirection. We support a generic USB redirection. Also, in conjunction with browser, we can also launch browser, access the storefront, and be able to download the ICA file and use the native Citrix Workspace app to launch it and providing the best performance. So as Jochen mentioned, very easy to use from the end user standpoint, very easy to provision from the IT admin standpoint. and under the hood, we have spent a lot of effort on the optimizations for Citrix.
Great. And for all the guests, if you have any follow-up questions based on the answers that you're hearing, or if you have any new questions, please go ahead and ask them in the Q&A section. So there are a few other questions. I'll go ahead and take them now. So a guest is asking, they have various thin clients from different manufacturers. Can they repurpose them with Leaf OS endpoint solution?
I can take that if you like. The answer is most likely yes. There are some limitations of what kind of hardware you need. It needs to be a 64-bit CPU, and we recommend to have at least 4 gig of RAM. That you can probably run it on 2 gig, but if you want to run things like Teams optimization, that's too tight. So if you have those kind of specifications, in all likelihood, you're okay. Never say everything works on every laptop, for example, but in general, absolutely yes.
Great. Okay. Looks like there's a follow-up question. So what is the license type or what is the license required for Leaf OS? Is it perpetual or subscription model?
Yeah, it's subscription. Excuse me, it's perpetual. So you buy it once. There's only one license, Leaf OS-P it's called, and then you got it all, the license to the Leaf OS as well as to PMC, perpetual, and if and 1 year of maintenance is included as well. If you want to have maintenance agreements afterward, which you probably do, frankly, there's a small amount to pay per seat per year, or there are multi-year agreements as well. So very, very simple license model. There's nothing else.
Great, thank you. And there is one sales question. So question is, does NComputing sell directly to end users, particularly if they have larger project?
We are a channel-based company. We like our channel partners. They are actually doing most of the business for us, if we are honest. So no, we don't do direct business. We sell through our channel partners.
Okay. There is one other question. So to all the guests, if you have any follow-up questions or any new questions, please go ahead and ask them. There's one question. The NComputing EX500 thin client that you talked about, does that come with a pre-bundled Leaf OS license loaded on it?
Clearly, yes. Very simple answer. It's included in the price and already pre-installed on the device.
Perfect.
And by the way, this is also true for some of the partner devices that are out there in the market from companies that pre-bundle Leaf OS. If you purchase those, the license is also included already.
Great. I am going to wait for a minute or two, and I see somebody is typing, and I can let them type the question. And meanwhile, I want to thank you, Johan, and all the people from NComputing today who joined this webinar, Richard and Joslo and Anup, for helping us to organize and have this beautiful presentation, talking about your experience and sharing about your operating system and endpoint. So this is a great webinar, and we learned a lot today. Okay, I see one last
Manju,
question.
we thank. Okay, go ahead.
I see one last question. So I think you might have answered this already, but the question is, how is Leaf OS installed and deployed?
Well, essentially 2 possibilities, right? You can either deploy it from a USB stick, so just the hand-done way, so to speak, or you can do it remotely from PMC using things like Pixie. But we have a description on how to do this.
Okay, perfect. All right, I don't see any other questions. I think that's about it. We answered all the questions. So to all the attendees, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach us The simple email address to reach us is citrixready@cloud.com. citrixready@cloud.com. Now we moved our domain from Citrix to cloud. So citrixready@cloud.com is the email address. If you have any questions in the future about this webinar or about the product, about Citrix with compatibility, about anything that we talked today, please don't hesitate to reach us. citrixready@cloud.com. And
Andrew, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity here and helping us set all this up. Was very good, I think.
Great. It's our pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, Johan, Jaslo, and Richard. And to all the attendees, we look forward to connect with you again on our next webinar. Until then, take care. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you also.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.